So when you're working with the leader keymaps, especially, and you get a lot of them accumulated, where you have multiple sequences, for example, I've got one set up here with leader W. So if I'm sitting on keymap here and I want to search for keymap across my code base here, leader W there opens up, in this case, telescope, and it searches, you can see right down in the box automatically for keymap, whatever word is underneath of my cursor, little word too, by the way. So I also have big word here with capital W, which will grab the entire big word here, which would be pretty much all of this right here. So big capital W there, leader capital W there. You can see that opens up with that big word then. But if you'll notice right there, when I do the space W, you can see it takes a little bit of time there. It takes like 1 to 2 seconds before this actually opens up. And the reason for that is because down below here, you can see I've got another keymap set up with leader WF. So there has to be some delay to determine if that F is coming or not, as well as any other keys I might have mapped. And so if Neovim is uncertain about what the keymap is ultimately going to be, because there could be another one coming, the F in this case, then it has to wait, and it has to wait a certain amount of time. And so that's why it's slow. Whereas in the case of leader WF here, watch this. You can see, boom, that just opens right up here. Let me do that again here. So I'm going to do leader WF. It just opens right away, whereas leader W takes about a second or 2 seconds there. So it turns out you can actually configure this, and it's something I would recommend that you tinker with. There's a setting called timeout length. All right, so down here in the lower left corner, I'm going to actually dump out vim.o. and timeout length. You can see that's set to 1,000, so that's 1 second by default. That's in milliseconds. So if I adjust that here, and I've actually got this in my config already, I just commented it out so I could show you this. So I'll bring this back here. I've set it to 300 milliseconds, which tends to work pretty well here. So now if I just come restart here, now if I do, watch this, here is leader W. That's not bad. That opens up a lot faster. So it's 300 milliseconds delay. It has to wait still in case there's that leader WF, and I'm not that fast at typing leader WF, so I'm glad I've got 300 milliseconds to do it. Here you go. Look at that. There's leader WF, leader W. So there's still a little bit of delay there, and you can adjust that value, but it's much better than waiting a full second. That also means, though, because I'm not going to wait a full second, I have to be fast about that next key sequence. So you're going to have to be a trade-off there between how fast can you type out multiple keystrokes versus how long do you want to wait when you use one of your top-level keystrokes, if you will, like with leader W here in my case. So 300 seems to be a sweet spot for me. The problem is, of course, if I do leader WF, you can see it misses it in that case because I was just too slow. So yeah, I've got that 300 milliseconds. I actually have that 300 milliseconds between each character in that case because it's space, WF, so it's got to be space, and then 300 milliseconds before I hit the W, 300 milliseconds to then hit the F. So I would recommend changing this, but don't make it too small here because if I make this 100 milliseconds, it's almost impossible then. All right, I'll restart here. So in this case, you can see it doesn't take long there. Leader W, that's just too slow. It's got to be about boom, boom in that case. 100 milliseconds is too fast. And then the real issue is, and what you need to play around with is not the easy key combos. Space W in my case, that's easy to type. But if I have to move my hands at all to get the next character in the sequence, if it's something hard to reach for, or a capital letter, for example, that can be a big problem. Yeah, there's just no way at 100 milliseconds to get these capital letters. It's just too hard to reach for shift and to get that done, unless maybe I learn how to type a little bit more efficiently. If I put that to 300 milliseconds, though, restart here, now I could probably do this. Yeah, there you go. There's capital W, capital F. Now, the real reason to tweak this is, like I said, now you can have those top-level leader keys in this case, or other key maps that you can then subdivide thereafter. Like I like having a top-level key here, leader W, and then I want to subdivide it into other things here that are specializations of that I'm probably not going to use as often, but that I kind of want to think of a chain of key map characters then to get down that pathway of related key maps. It's just how I like to organize things. And thankfully, because of timeout length, I can actually use these top-level entry points, if you will, to key maps like leader W. Whereas previously, before I discovered timeout length, I basically decided I'm either going to have my most important top levels with nothing under them, so there'd be nothing after leader W in this case, or I'd have the top level be subdivided every single time. I'd never have a top level key map in that case.